こんにちは皆さん、テリチャンネルのテリです。いつも動画を見てくれてありがとう。前回のビデオにたくさんコメントありがとうございます。ジョージアという日本から遠く離れた小さな国に興味を持ってくれてありがとうございます。このようなビデオじゃなくて楽しいビデオを求めたいという人もいますが、私の国は今やばいです。今日はパーシャルモビリゼーションから数日経ってジョージアの新しいニュースと私の周りに起きていることを話したいと思います。私の周りに起こっていること。Two big things happened to me. First is that my family decided to take care of my Russian cousin in Georgia. I read a lot of comments that Russians have to take care of responsibility for their government, what they did before escaping from Russia. So I know that some of you who is watching my videos now will be a little bit disappointed with the decision that my family made. The order has not yet come to my cousin, but who knows when it's going to come. And if he will receive this order, he will be a Russian soldier. As some of you may know, some of Russians can't leave the country at this time. But my cousin is in Turkey already. Some of you may have a question, why did we decide to accept him? And I will tell you why. To be honest, in a financial way, it's very hard for us to take care of him in Georgia because living cost has doubled in the last 6 months. But if we take care of him, we can reduce the number of Russian soldiers without any blood. And of course, he's very important for me and my family because he's our family member too. I understand the opinion that they have to make efforts to change their government before leaving the country. And as you can see from this video, many Georgians feels the same way. It's also true that many Georgians doesn't have a good impressions on Russians. So we might get some bad rumors from the neighbors who are living in our apartment, but we still decided to do it. And from my cousin's last information, he's going to arrive in Georgia in Saturday. And secondly, my sister Nano is using bus and metro every day to go to work. And every day it's very crowded. We never had this kind of situation before. Of course, in a very hard times, it's important to have a little bit positive way of thinking about it. So I will mention one thing that my sister, a few days ago, she was going to work, and before she's going to the metro station, she's using bus. Usually, bus can fit around 20 people, right? But at that day, because it's so much crowded, there was like 60 people there. There was no space at all in the bus, and my sister was sitting on the single seat, and someone, man, without asking her, can I, or this kind of thing, like sit next to her, you know. I even have a picture. It was a little bit funny, but you can see with this how hard it is to use the transport in Georgia now. And of course, I'm also going outside for a little bit, but every time I see the bus walking on the road, it's always very full. すごい full です。本当にどうやってこの人たちがあそこで呼吸するかわからない。So this is what happened around me after the partial mobilization. Georgia no taiyo. Yesterday, full armored people appeared on the Georgian border, and their mission was to not let Russian citizens to leave the country anymore. But the number of the people who already escaped the war and crossed the Georgian borders is very, very large. According to the Novadays information, after the partial mobilization, more than 37,000 car and more than 150,000 Russian has crossed the border of Georgia, and most of them was men. これはめっちゃやばいですね。If this is true, my country's population is just 3.7 million. And compared to this, Russian number who entered in my country is very, very large, really. I don't know even how to explain how big it is. Don't get me wrong, I do feel really sorry for these people because I have Russian relatives who escaped and left the country already, and they are all very scared and confused. But honestly, I feel really very complicated because when Georgia had the same kind of with Russia, no Russians have avoided to going into that time. No one had mercy on the Georgia, and especially no other country did the same sanctions on the Russia to stop that time. It's a little bit ironical too that Russia, who occupied our territories through war and violence, now are escaping into Georgia. And now they are spending hours, days, and even weeks in the line to enter here. And now I will speak about how the Georgian government is reacting on this. Minister of Defense of Georgia said that they can't see any danger in this situation. And according to the Minister of International Affairs of Georgia, he said that Russians are entering in our country only for the tourist purposes, and they have been entering before as well, and he doesn't see any need to prohibit their entry in this situation as well. While our government is very calm in this situation, Georgians are gaining lots of scare. I read the comments that Georgian government also decided to restrict the entry, but I could not find such an article. Many of Georgians think that there might be thousands of spies among these Russian citizens, and no one will know what is going to happen in the future. Even the Russian government wants to stop Russian citizens to escaping from the country. Now the Georgians who are fighting for months against Putin's aggression in Ukraine has most to say for their own people and their own government. I hear the interview from the Georgian soldiers in Ukraine about this situation, and they are completely terrified. I really feel very sorry about them because they went in it not only for the Ukraine but for Georgia as well. And while they are risking their own life in the Georgian government is filling Georgia with Russians. And this everything makes life very hard in Georgia. Prices aren't stopping to go up, and it becomes very difficult to move in the city as well, no matter it's with car or without it. As always, Georgians are trying very hard to stop this everything, and Georgian people even created a group and planning to do a demo on the Georgia and Russian border to prohibit Russians entering our country. But it's Georgian people trying this everything and not Georgian government. As I mentioned before, Georgian government is not strong enough against Russia because of geopolitical reasons. But it's also getting very difficult to make people push down about complaining to our government. This is an unstable situation of Georgia today. If this situation will bring better future for Georgia, I will accept this pain. But if this decision is just for political reasons, I disagree. Some may think that what I'm saying and doing is different, but I think we should accept those who don't want to die in the war and recognize the situation between Russia and Georgia. But I was watching the videos of Russians in Georgia, and some of them doesn't even have any information that Russia occupied 20% of Georgia's territory, and they said if they did, it's very bad. What kind of comment is that? I don't know. But I think this kind of people should have definitely learned something before crossing the border. またこのようなジョージアの情報に興味がある人がいれば、グッドボタンやコメントで応援してくれると嬉しいです。If many people want it, I will update the information again. では最後まで見てくれてありがとうございます。次のビデオでお会いしましょう。またねー。